Want to say hello to everyone. We're going to give it a little while, let some folks join us here. Um, really excited about first opportunity in 2025 to talk baseball, college baseball. Had a really great trip into Washington, D.C. Was able to escape before the snowstorms to celebrate a milestone birthday for my wife. So we're going to allow some folks to jump in here. Want to remind everyone as you're finding your way in, probably from halftime of the football game. Uh, this is a live Q&A, so you can engage and interact. You can ask questions. I'll put the spectacles on. We'll be able to answer the questions. Also, most of the time, parents and athletes begin to engage with and amongst themselves. So I encourage you, if you are a parent or a student athlete and you have a question, please, if you're on YouTube, please take a few minutes and submit your question on X, formerly known as Twitter. Send me a direct message. Same Facebook, you should be able to interact similar to live questions on the right-hand side of the screen. Hello, Coach Archie. How are you, sir? So first and foremost, get some formalities out of the way. Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a great holiday season. It is almost officially baseball season. We'll kick off the JUCO baseball season here in a couple of weeks. All of the college coaches that I had an opportunity to speak with, both in person as well as over the phone while I was in Washington, D.C., are very excited about the upcoming season. Want to make sure that parents understand and student athletes, no matter when you're watching this video, want to reemphasize a point. And that is that the college coaches do not make the rules or create the rules. They have to follow the rules. And so I think it's important for all of us to kind of take a step back. I think there's been some misinformation, not on purpose, at least I hope not on purpose. And I think my goal here for this topic and discussion is to shed some light as well as to offer my opinions. And I want to emphasize these are educated opinions. Spoke with several coaches today, as well as almost a half an hour ago, being able to talk to some college coaches. Now, I don't say that for validation that I speak with coaches, and it's more so that I'm updated and accurate. I would prefer to be erring on the side of discussing with college coaches rather than just blurting out an opinion that could affect families as well as student athletes with regard to not only college recruiting but youth baseball. First thing I want to get out of the way is I want to extend truly, I am humbled and grateful for all of the people that made their way to say hello to me in Washington, D.C., parents, athletes, really very well attended convention. The ABCA is if you are a baseball enthusiast, I strongly encourage you to attend if you have the opportunity. Next year, 2026, will be in Columbus, Ohio. But I am humbled by the amount of people that expressed or conveyed, their appreciation or their thoughts with regard to, our Thursday Coaches Corner, which will begin next week with USC recruiting coordinator Travis Juice Jewett. But I was just blown away at the amount of high school coaches, parents, athletes, coaches that I had never been formally introduced to, and I had the opportunity to do that in DC. It was really a phenomenal experience. So for that, I am very, very grateful, and I look forward to a great 2025 and beyond. Next, I think it's very important that we start tonight off by emphasizing that the Division I Council at the ABCA convention, all NCAA levels, all NJCAA as well as NAIA coaches have their meetings collectively, or what I should say individually, at various times throughout the weekend. And there's some discussions. Some are very active discussions, but they're also meant to be informative to allow coaches to hear from the NCAA's perspective. And so one of the first things I want to discuss is that the whole JUCO is not going to count towards eligibility on an ongoing or long-term basis is inaccurate. It is simply, it boils down to this. The NCAA fought vigorously on the Diego Pavia extra year of eligibility, and they lost. The athlete was granted an injunction. And so therefore, knowing that litigation is going to take, a prolonged period of time, they have basically got out in front of that and said, if you were a JUCO athlete and you exhausted your eligibility and you made your way to Division I athletics and you are about to exhaust in 2025 your final year of eligibility, same as the quarterback at Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, then you, regardless of sport, have one additional year of eligibility. This is for a finite period of time, and the NCAA is in litigation, and that is something that is going to be determined at a later date. But what I want parents and athletes to understand, we are not, as of today, dealing with an NCAA Division II, Division III. We're not dealing with junior colleges. Just go there for a couple of years, develop, and then blow out to an NCAA school, and you have 4 years of eligibility. We are not there, at least as of today. So that's number one. Number two, sometime during the fall, I began to discuss things that I thought may occur. And these are things that I discuss with people not only within the sport of baseball, but at the NCAA level. And there are discussion points going on for kind of a meeting of the middle where they're going to consider 5 years of eligibility for student athletes within the NCAA, regardless of sport. And that is something that is on the table. It has not been officially brought forward as of yet. But that is something that has legs and is moving forward. I don't see how they put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay, Brendan, I agree with you on that, and one could take that. But I feel the second discussion point, which we're talking about now, that 5th year of eligibility, is kind of what I consider to be like an arbitrage. You can't possibly say to an athlete, go to a school for 2 or 3 years at the JUCO level and then go to an NCAA school for 4 years, and then you have 5 years to complete 4 years. That would be chaotic and would send it would create a very messy situation. So I think what they're trying to do is kind of a meeting in the middle. And they, I believe, are going to say that student athletes, again, across all sports within the NCAA, that they are considering 5 years of eligibility. And whether you want to take 2 at JUCO and 3 at an NCAA school or 3 at an NAIA school, again, that's a separate entity. I don't want to get confused or confuse athletes or parents, but I believe that's what's being discussed. But I think the biggest thing to understand is coaches were collectively coming together in D.C., and everybody wants to outscoop the other person, and you got this entity trying to talk to that entity, and everybody's trying to push their own cause. And I think coaches want to, believe it or not, they're looking to protect the athlete, because what if somebody gets hurt during the fall? If you have a 34-man roster, one of the biggest things that takes away is competition. In college programs, all sports thrive on competition. They cannot just have athletes that roll in the fall, go through the motions, and expect to flip a switch going into a baseball season. That's not to say that athletes get complacent, but coaches love competitive environments. They love them in the fall, and obviously during the season, they want to see athletes that are competitive. But if you have a situation where, whether it's academics, whether it's not a good fit, maybe somebody just doesn't like the fit, they're not interested. More importantly, what if they get hurt? If they get hurt, now you're penalizing the entire program. If you only have a 34-man roster, start of classes in September, late August, going into your spring season, that makes things very challenging. Pitchers get injured, catchers get injured, hitters get hit by pitches, et cetera. Turned ankles can turn into torn ligaments. So there has to be, and they are hoping, so the Division I Council put forth an amendment, for lack of a better term, to see if the NCAA will allow them to take 38 into the fall, and then a final roster at the end of the fall semester going into the spring of 34. And again, I'm going to let everybody know, we're going to put on my spectacles so you can ask the questions. Okay, would they get a redshirt year? There is a additional topic that if you are injured, much like how Major League Baseball has a 60-day injured list, that college baseball, you would get that year, where you would have that additional year of eligibility, again, covered within that 5-year projected window. But I don't think they want to use the term redshirt. There's going to be a meeting of the minds on that topic, Brendan. And I want parents, again, to reemphasize, I say this a lot recently, but April 7th is when the Division I, the chairs at the Division I, Division II, and Division III levels are going to have their meetings and finalization. This is largely a Division I issue. I want to make sure I stress that it's a Division I issue with regard to the now termed Power 4 conferences. Schools will have the ability to opt in and opt out, and I'm going to talk on that tonight. But again, April 7th is a ways down the road. The NCAA did not foresee their litigation with regard to that extra year of eligibility being finalized prior to April 7th, and that's why they got out ahead of it. And the council, kind of created and voted on that extra year of eligibility. Again, only pertains to those athletes that participated at the junior college level and are currently about to exhaust their NCAA eligibility and have been granted the extra year athletically until that injunction gets ruled on or litigated by the NCAA. So that's where that rule stands. So one of the biggest reasons why I have these discussions and why I talk to the coaches and why I talk to parents and athletes is to put away the fear and put away the being underinformed, because fear creates opportunity for people that don't have good intentions. I guess I'll say it at that. And while I am not the only one that is, providing information, I like to take pride in the fact that I have been a parent in your shoes, where the vast majority of people within this space have not. And why I feel that matters. It's one thing to be a former athlete. It's another to be a journalist. But it puts it on a whole different level when you've lived this experience as a parent. and I have the relationships that I have. And so that's what I try to provide with regard to parents. So next, I want to talk about the the high school athlete in college athletics. And I'm not going to regurgitate the talking points as far as 90% don't participate in college, the 10%. But if you're planning on being a college athlete, the world, the landscape of college athletics across the board, junior college, NAIA, and NCAA, has officially changed. Is it fair? One could say, make a strong argument. I don't think it's fair, but it really hasn't changed. The one constant that athletes and parents need to understand is that when your feet hit the ground at a college campus, whether you're an incoming freshman from high school, a junior college transfer, and they're affected as well, or a portal athlete, you need to be prepared for that level of competition. The world of college athletics is about the best prepared, the best skilled athlete that is prepared to compete for not only their opportunity, but their longevity at that particular school or within that program. They're going to win. College coaches are compensated, they are hired to make decisions for the best intention of the school, the program, and the conference. A college coach is never going to say, I'm out to get that guy or I'm out to get that family. No. But being a college athlete is a privilege. College coaches provide an opportunity. And this is the crux of what I want to have this discussion about this evening. Understand this: youth sports, right, wrong, or indifferent, are permanently a part of our society. And what that has done, it has given athletes as well as parents the mindset of a consumer with an ROI, return on investment. And while that works at the youth sport levels, within college, it does not. A college coach makes a decision that is within the best interest of the program. It is really time for us as adults to really look ourselves, myself included, in the mirror. As in any vocation, any profession, any aspect of life, there are good people, there are average people, and there are bad people. Don't care what category, bad, average, good. There are elite and there are poor. When I say poor, I mean evil people, bad intentions. And I think it's time to address the elephant in the room for all parents. These travel organizations are spreading a narrative that is no longer applicable to the college environment that we now find ourselves in. Meaning, for position players in high school, position players, if you're a high school student athlete and you're in the class of 2025, 2026, and beyond, the level of Division I athletics, both at the NCAA, I should say several, NCAA Division I, NJCAA Division I, and NAIA, extremely difficult environment for high school athletes. So for any travel program that wants to promote or promise, you come here, we develop you, wink, wink, and you're going to go on to play college baseball, okay, it's not going to be as easy as it might have been even just a few years ago. Pitchers, different animal. Pitchers is always going to be a need for elite pitchers. My point of going down this rabbit hole, and it is a rabbit hole, is to try to get parents to begin to widen the lens, take a step back, athletes take a step back, and ask yourself, are you truly preparing yourself as an athlete or your student athlete with 100-game seasons, with all of these tournaments that are about to take place next week in Arizona and all these showcases November through January? I get a sense, and people get aggravated and agitated. At what point do we begin to tell athletes, okay, you're going to want to get in the weight room. You're going to want to work on this deficiency within your skill set. You're going to want to take care of your body. Does it have to happen at 12? No. But at 15 or 16, if we want to keep putting these signs up and say, I want to go to college, okay, at what point are you going to prepare to be a college athlete? And as a side note to this, I want to talk to parents of student athletes in 26, 27, 28, and it makes me shudder, but 29. Really, the class of 28 and 29. When you're presented with these exposure opportunities, no parent, no student athlete should be worried about attending events, participating in events for exposure. None. You're not ready to be recruited. You're not ready for the exposure. No college coach is going to look at a 15 or 16-year-old. I know there are exceptions. I get it. But college coaches now are recruiting in the summer, and they're recruiting in college leagues, and they're recruiting in the portal, and they're recruiting the junior college athletes. Parents, we have to accept. Stop. If you're a 2028 or a 2029, even a 2027, it's early to the dance. You do not need to be focused in on who needs to see my son, who needs to see him participate. You need evaluations. You need to be an active participant within your high school program. Boy, oh boy, I can't stress that enough. It's time to come back to high school baseball. It's time to go back to American Legion baseball, senior Little League, senior Babe Ruth, where there are opportunities to play, participate, community, compete, and get yourself prepared to be a college student athlete. If I'm going to end my career on a hill, that is the hill I am going to extinguish myself on, is trying to get parents who are being led, or should I say misled, to think that your participation in a travel event or a showcase event where there are college coaches is wrong. It's wrong. Your athlete needs to be identified with an evaluation, a movement screen, a strength test, a stretching test. Evaluate, create a plan, take action steps with regard to that plan. Because I can tell you the changes that lie ahead with college athletics, it's going to become more challenging, tougher entry points. Athletes now, I remember Brian Green from Wichita State, when we spoke in our coach's corner, he said something and it went over a lot of parents, and I heard it, but I didn't want to go back to it. And he said, my job now as a college coach is to be aware of athletes at the NCAA Division III, Division II levels, also within Division I with regard to the portal, potential junior college. He has to really broaden his recruiting base, where he might have recruited 10 to 15 high school athletes and thinking of a developmental dynamic with regard to recruiting. Now it's position player portal and kind of bringing in the pieces to replenish, to plug and play. In the pitchers, a little bit more of a window of opportunity with regard to the high school athlete. Washington, D.C. at the ABCA, you get to share your opinions. And I talk to professional scouts, agents, really renowned agents. Um, and one of the things that came back to me over and over and again is how unregulated the industry is becoming. Dollar signs, name, image, and likeness agents, travel organizations that are becoming, name, image, and likeness agents and shopping players around. Again, not all travel programs, not all, some. And this is becoming, because it's unregulated, your parents are starting to be, kind of rounded up and saying, okay, we want to wear the name of this jersey. And so you're getting these organizations that are aligning themselves. And I'm just telling you, that's a recipe for pain. Because if I look at a college recruiting class at the elite levels of Division I, and when I say elite, I'm talking about 9,000, approximately, let's call it 10,000 Division I student athletes that are participating within NCAA Division I, where, one could make an argument that the vast majority of name, image, and likeness committees, collectives are awaiting. There's going to be a certain level of spreading out the wealth, spreading out of the talent. You're going to get away from a lot of those mid majors. You're going to see a lot of these schools that are great evaluators, great coaches. They're going to start to make their way and make some noise in these super regionals. My point is that Division I baseball is going to be a really, really very challenging, very talented level of baseball. And again, all of the pieces that find their way with no room at the inn with regard to the portal, they're going to get to the UTampas and Southern New Hampshires and, Nova Southeastern, IUP with Steve Klein in Pennsylvania, the Sunshine Conference, Rick Odette at Florida Southern. You're going to start to see a lot of these Division II schools are going to begin to rise up in greater levels. And also the Division III academic universities are going to have a lot of very, very talented athletes. Where there used to be 45 to maybe as high as 50 athletes in the fall at Division I schools, all those athletes now, and all you have to do is take, let's call it 15 times 300, and that's 4,500 athletes this fall that are going to begin to spread out. These are athletes that have been active on Division I rosters or within redshirt years. So parents, we have to start to put these numbers into our equations. Next topic is when the NCAA does finalize at the Division I level, there's going to be an event where all these athletes that are currently within the system are going to be able to spread out. And I live in the greater New England, Boston area, and our area of the country is loaded with NCAA Division III schools. And I want parents to understand it is not a slight. It is not such a canyon between the talent pool of NCAA Division I and Division III. And what I want to really bring to your attention as a parent or as a student athlete, being a college student athlete is part of your college experience. And I'm not going to wax poetically about the college years, but I am going to say I talk to student athletes that I coached 15 years ago. I still talk to some of them today. They're grown men. They are married. They have children. They have careers. And we can tell stories for hours when we're together. And college athletics is a fraternity for life. So when you're looking and beginning your process as a family, everybody has dreams and goals. We're not settling if we're looking to go to this school and we find a school at this level and it fits geographically and it fits academically, and the coaching staff really wants your student athlete or has a strong interest in your student athlete, we're not missing anything, because the numbers tell us that the college experience for 98%, that's the end of the baseball. And, at least as far as from a team perspective, formal team perspective, because if we look around the landscape, and I talk to a lot of agents, the game is now becoming very international. One favorite major league team, and now college teams, i.e., Stanford and Vanderbilt and Duke, athletes from Japan, athletes from Korea and China, Latin American countries. They're looking to come. And so now we have to compete on a global basis, not just at the professional level, but soon the collegiate level. So parents, have a realistic understanding of who your student athlete is and who they're capable of becoming. There is no such thing as a missed opportunity. And I can tell you from experience, I coached at a very, what I would consider to be low level Division III program. And I had 5 student athletes that went on to play professionally, 2 of which that were drafted. So I want you to consider, it's not really where you start, it's who you become. And if you're not really working on a total plan, and really, to be honest with you, a total plan includes the academic dynamic, the from the athletic skill set dynamic, as well as the strength, nutrition, and mental performance dynamic. You're going to be behind when you show up on a college campus, because those are men and they deal with things from a very mature perspective. They believe in accountability. And so the whole point of this conversation, understand what is ahead of us. Whether we like it or not, we can all agree to disagree. Some people have good intentions. Some people I don't think have good intentions. But the message is not about beware of the man behind the curtain. The message is, I talk to all these college coaches. They're all husbands. They're all parents. They're all great grandparents or grandparents. I won't say great grandparents. Holy cow. Grandparents. These people aren't evil. They have a job to do, and they're going to perform it to the best of their abilities. But when I tell you, if you go to Salve Regina, and this is my next point, the number one thing that I want you to take away from tonight's video is, I want you as a family, when you're in your part of the country, when baseball season starts, and we have junior college is about to start in a couple of weeks, and then NCAA Division I starts in the middle. I think it's Valentine's Day. I know Vanderbilt opens up at Grand Canyon February 14th. But whether it's Division II, Division III, NAIA, when those seasons start, go to a game or go find a practice. You must go see. Do not assume that you know what it looks like. You know what it sounds like. Because for the vast majority of parents, because your student athlete's teammate is playing at school X, doesn't give you a proper understanding or idea of what it feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like to be at a college practice, to be at a college game. And then you have to look at your athlete and ask them the following question. Based on who you are today as a student athlete, where would you see yourself fitting within that lineup, within that program? And look at the bodies. That's the number one thing. Look at the bodies. And I get this all the time from parents. Let's see. Leon, I got this from a family in Ontario, and I also digress to show you the hat. Young man who is now at Lawrence Academy. So, Leon, thank you for bringing that because this is a big North America topic. So it's not just U.S. And I have a young man that's going to Evansville from Canada, from the Ontario area, the Blue Jays, Team Canada junior team, as well as a young man that's currently a junior in high school. So I talked to a lot of people from Canada. But parents, what I want to encourage you to do is this. I talk to a lot of parents at all age groups. And I always say to them, if you're 13, start going to a practice for 15 and 16-year-olds. We're so programmed to see everything through the baseball business stepladder of 11U, 12U, 13U, 14U. We are really being misled. We are being misled by people who have ulterior motives. And I get it. It's a business. You're an adult. You're a parent. You make your own decisions. I get it. God bless you. No problems. And when you begin to get into that 14 or 15U kind of window, you start talking about high school baseball. You start talking about college baseball. You want to be, I have parents that are 20, 28 saying, hey, how do I get my son evaluated for college recruiting? Holy cow. Number one thing, go to your local high school and look at the practice. If you live in an area and your high school team isn't that great, find an area and a community nearby. I'm sure it's not that hard to find that has a really strong high school program, college baseball at whatever level you live at. I told the parent the other day, Iowa Western, they're one of the best Division I JUCO programs in the country. And the parent said, I live an hour from there. They have good baseball. Holy cow, where have you been? Iowa Western, when Mark Reardon was there, and it's still to this day one of the top programs in the country that puts pitchers at every Division I team in the country. The other part of this is let your sons, let your student athletes see it, feel it, hear it. And when I say hear it, parents always push back. Listen, college coaches, they may be warm and fuzzy during the recruiting process, but I promise you, when they're in the heat of battle, that's a men's locker room. There are words that are spoken in the heat of battle. Some athletes don't handle that very well. But at the end of the day, sometimes a kick in the pants is what's needed. You need to be shaken mentally to say, hey, look, you need to get out of that comfort zone and push yourself further. You have to know what it's like to be pushed to your limits. It's only then when you can figure out, can I push beyond that and make a breakthrough and get better? And so college athletics is not pushing out or pushing away high school athletes. What it requires from us as adults is to look at a broader window through a much wider lens that says, okay, maybe we need to start here. Whether that's a postgraduate year, whether that's a gap year, whether that's a junior college, a community college, whether that's an NCAA Division III or NAIA. And I said this last week, and I want to reemphasize it. NAIA baseball is really good baseball. You go to Lee University, you go to a lot of these, Cumberland, Johnson, Ottawa, Walters State, Reinhardt. You start going to some of these NAIA games. Obviously, Georgia Gwinnett with Coach Sheets. These are elite college programs that in some cases, if not now most cases, has a lot of former NCAA Division I and II transfers. Because what ends up happening is whenever there's spillage from here, it goes this way, and then that begins to raise the tide this way, and there's a balance. And so you must understand that energy that begins to fall from up here is going to make this go higher. And I don't think we think about that enough. And I think what we're missing in this discussion, and it's okay for us to disagree. You can say to me, Walt, you're full of hot air. You're way off. Okay. But somewhere there is going to be a parent or a student athlete that says, okay, I'm going to take this. What if we as a community began to address the elephants in the room, that all the people that are telling us that Little League stinks and American Legion stinks and Babe Ruth stinks, they might have a business ulterior motive. Maybe they don't want you to go do that because to go play Little League might be a $125 donation. And I know a team in central Massachusetts that's charging $3,000 to $5,000 a year spread out over 7 months of payments for starting at 9U. And then as you get past the 13U, it goes up to $5,000 to $7,000 a year for 34 weeks of baseball. Little League, American Legion, maybe $100. Some communities, they waive that. And during that time, maybe the athletes have this thing that used to be referred to as a childhood. And maybe they get to hang out with their buddies or maybe go fishing, or maybe you don't have to give up your vacations. And I get it. A lot of parents, I was one of them. My sons didn't play travel baseball till they were 14, but I get it. There's a social interaction with travel baseball, and it's fun for parents to go to this community or that state or that area of the country during certain times of the year and socialize. But is it making your student athlete better? Are they better prepared to be a potential college athlete? If 90% of 100 student athletes that play high school baseball are not going to have room at the inn, when do we want to know that? So as a parent, you want to begin to look and create a plan 13 years old. 13 years old, if you think your student athlete is serious about playing high school baseball, that's the time to prepare. 12, 13 for high school baseball. When your student athlete gets to high school, it's time to start getting out and going to college practices, college games, college scrimmages. Go see every level, any level, college baseball. Go see it. Interact with the players. Go to the camps, not to get recruited, but to talk to athletes that are actively playing college baseball. What did you do? What do you wish you did more of to be better prepared to be a college student athlete? Hi, college coach. Hi, Coach Corbin. What can I do to become a potential college baseball player? When you're at the college camps, you can ask those questions. Then put a game plan together, take action steps, execute the action steps every single day in some capacity to becoming who you would like to become, whether it be at the high school level or college level. What's it going to take for the high school and college coaches to stop giving up their fields in the summer to the machine and get back into local leagues, American Legion? Brent, boom, boom, boom. This is a great question. Coach, is there a reason to play summer travel ball as a high school freshman? Is it better to work out and train? Cody Jackson, my opinion, Walter Beede's opinion. If I am the parent of an 8th grader, 9th grader, or sophomore in high school, I am playing locally. Now, the parents that I've worked with, the families that I've worked with, some of you have heard from them in various capacities. Over the last few years, I've done this exactly to the T. Those people stay and play locally. They're in the weight room. They have a routine, and they follow it. Now, why should you take my advice? Okay, let's look at college athletes, professional athletes. They're being sent to facilities all over the country for 8 to 10 week strength boot camps over the summer instead of being sent out to go play college baseball. That's a fact. That's not 100% of all athletes. Some athletes, obviously, the ones that are in the portal, the ones that have didn't get a lot of at-bats. But if they're still in development phase, college coaches, high school coaches are sending athletes out for 8 to 10 week strength boot camp type events over the summer months to get bigger, faster, stronger, better prepared to be a college student athlete. So, Cody, the answer to your question, in my opinion, play local, figure out your routine, get somebody to create a plan that's specifically tailored to you, that includes nutrition, sprint work, strength training, and get prepared to be recruited. That's my message tonight. That's my advice tonight. If you really want to be a college athlete, do what the college athletes are doing. When do you want to make that decision? Do you want to find out when you're a high school senior? You're not strong enough. You're not, you're not big enough. You're not fast enough. Do you know that the average middle infielder or center fielder at the college level is running a sub-7? That typically is between that 6'6" to 6'8" range. That's an average, but that's the scale. Do you know that the metrics across the diamond are like 87, 88 and higher? Do you know what the average velocity is? Do you know what the average weight is? I mean, I've put a lot of that out there, but when do you as parents and when are you as student athletes, for all those travel programs that want to tell parents, and you want to join me on a show, I'll openly invite any travel coach that wants to discuss with me, not argue, not to scream, that playing 100-game schedule as a 10 through 17-year-old is advantageous. Come at me, and I'll take you on. No problem. Because it does not happen at any other level of athletics until you get to professional, where you're playing above 100 games. And when you play 140 in minor leagues, you're exhausted. So trying to tell parents that 10 through whatever year olds should be playing year-round 100-game schedules is absolutely, incredibly wrong. So, Cody, there's the answer to your question. As far as the field availability, I want you to know, if you're a Legion coach, if you're you're a coach and you're looking for fields, my dad used to always say, if you don't get squeaky, you don't get any oil. So you have to go to your local town, your local community. Now, I drive by fields all the time, and I'm in the Northeast. And over the summer, they're empty. Now, majority of them are sand lots or little league fields. They're empty. And a lot of them are being taken over by lacrosse and soccer. But if you have a high school field, you have a real community field, you need your time. If you're a member of that community, you need your time. You got to go voice your opinion to your high school coaches. You got to have a Legion that is behind you. And I'm going to tell you something. American Legion is making a comeback. Little League is making a comeback. Whether you think it's right, wrong, it's not up to us. But I can tell you that American Legion is making a comeback. You're going to start to see more junior Legion teams. You're going to start to see more senior Little League teams. You're going to see community baseball is going to make a comeback, because it has to, in order for the game to survive. Period. End of story. And sooner or later, the business model of youth baseball is going to begin to shrink until they start to put multiple age groups together, until they start to recognize what's going on above them. Youth baseball, as far as travel, is going to contract. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen all at once, but it's going to happen. As soon as parents begin to understand, we're going to stay local, we're going to play local, but our Little League team stinks. My son's really good. And when he tries to play catch with somebody, the other boy is trash. That's exactly I get that all the time. And I always scratch my head, and I always say, at 8 through 12, you're going to have elite players, good players, average players, and bad players. It's just a part of the landscape. And just because you pay more money to be with, these competitive guys is not necessarily making everybody better. Baseball is a sport. It is a game. Play local. Allow your kids to have fun. Allow them to have a childhood. Allow them to develop a passion for the sport. But when you go make noise in your local community, we need to start. I'm going to wrap up on this. We need to start, as a community, a regulatory system or entity that begins to monitor and put the train back on the track. We need some sense of common sense and realistic goals for those young 6 through 12-year-olds and the 13 through 18-year-olds, and the path and the passion and the participation of the sport. If there's no regulatory entity that's creating a checks and balances, all these parents, you know why they're paying all this money? Because they're underinformed and they're afraid. They're afraid their children are going to miss out. Nobody's going to miss out if you took the worst young man, of which I was that person, and I have literally taken boys, and this is a fact, boys that didn't make the Little League All-Star game, the team, which everybody wants to make at 11 and 12. And I get it. My oldest son didn't make it. I didn't make it. And then you say to them, okay, do you really love baseball? Yes. Here are the things that you should be doing between the ages of 12 and 15. And little boys that were 12 and now are 15 are the biggest boys on their teams. They're the strongest. They're the most skilled because they were told they weren't good enough. And it inspired them. It lit a fire. And you know what? Instead of saying, you're right, I'm not good, I'm going to work hard and get better. I did it. My oldest son did it. There are boys that are doing it today. There are boys that did it 10 years ago that ended up going on to play college baseball and playing in the Cape Cod League. It's time to push back. Don't need to eliminate travel baseball. There are some tremendous organizations. I could rattle off names across the country, but the vast majority of those programs that are elite have been elite for 25 plus years. And they're actually teaching athletes how to prepare to be college baseball. Andy at the Dirtbags, I mean, their developmental program, they're not going to a lot of these tournament-driven events. They're developing. The Knights, Louisiana, the Ohio Warhawks, I mean, NorCal. I could go on and on. There are a lot of great programs. Team Boston, a lot of great programs. Don't chase, choose. Choose your path. Come back to reality. Prepare for your reality. Prepare for your future. If you're a student athlete and you're finding your way to this video, I want to say one thing. It's you that has to take accountability for what you want to become. Don't wait for an adult to tell you what you can and cannot do with regard to baseball. If you feel that you love the sport, that you want to be better, fall, fail, try, fail, fall, get back up, do it again, do it again. Repetition equals retention. Get in the weight room, do your sprint work, do it every single day. 1% better every single day. By the end of the year, you're 365% better in 2025 than you were in 2024. Now add that up over a period of 4 or 5 years. Who you're capable of becoming is the 10 twos. And I want you to write this on your locker. I want you to write it on your bathroom mirror. Put it in the mirror in your bedroom. If it is to be, it is up to me. 10 words, 2 letters each. You should write that, put it in your cap. I'm going to share tomorrow on social media. You're going to see a picture where Tyler, and yes, I do have hair for everybody that tells me I'm wearing a Guy Fieri visor. Tyler used to look, and both my boys would look in their visor. They did it in college. They did it in high school. They did it in youth sports. And in the visor, if it is to be, it is up to me. Poise, composure. That's what they had written on their visor. You should do the same thing. Folks, here's the deal. You know, I had a lot of people that stopped, talked to me. I heard from a lot of parents. I heard from a lot of athletes. I was totally blown away. What is happening at the higher levels of baseball is nothing more than a business making decisions to change to the new realities of the world we live in, the social media, the opportunities to pay student athletes. And with that comes change. Change is unnerving. It gets under people's skin. Nobody feels comfortable when you rock the boat or the waves or turbulence when you're in the air. Gosh knows I'm one of those people. But I want you to understand the opportunities are not going away. The opportunities are there, but you have to begin to chart your course of action based on who your athlete is and who your athlete is capable of becoming, and when do you want to begin to navigate to that destination. No college coach is going to be recruiting any athletes. The days of recruiting younger athletes are gone. They're done. They're not coming back. College coaches are going to wait at all levels until the senior summer. Are there exceptions? Yes, but they're going to wait till the senior summer because you're recruiting against the portal. You're recruiting against the JUCO graduates. You're recruiting against the postgraduates and the gap year people, and then the high school athletes. If you know that to be the case, and I'm telling you that's the case, at what point do you want to be told the truth? At what point do you want your student athlete to be sat down in a chair, looked at, and said, "You're not strong enough. You're not skilled enough, and you need to take the time to work on both." So playing 100 games and hitting 400 and having an OPS of whatever, on base percentage, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. You're either ready when the bell rings or you're not. And if you're not, there's no room at the inn. Period. End of story. That's the fact. If you're a local league and you need field time, go to your high school. Tell them what you need. Go to your local councilman or go to your local mayor or whoever is involved in town park and recreations and tell them, we're taxpayers in this community and we need field time. Figure it out. And if that means you got to use the football field to conduct a practice, so be it. This is going to be a space from today forward. The Blue Book, of which I am a part of, we are going to provide content and resources for parents. And so let me get to everybody's questions. Okay, I love this, Adam. We just started the Town Junior Legion back. Had an amazing response. Already have 75% of the roster filled. 643 Double Play Marietta. Love them. Love the chili dogs. My thing is, I'm not here to throw dirt or cast stones on travel baseball. I get it. You make a living, you earn a living. If you look at most of the people, what I call the weekend warriors, that just kind of go and gobble up and play a lot of games, and they want to tell people we're 78 and 24, and okay, great. But what did that do for your kids? What is that doing for my son? What is that doing? Is it making him better? Really? I mean, what kids need is instruction, developmental times, and a game plan. Show them the path. Show them the way. It's okay to have them fail. It's okay to have them fall. Because when you fall, you have two options: stay down or dust yourself up and get back up and compete. And sometimes that means you got to get a little angry. And so what I want you to have as an understanding, my takeaway from Washington, D.C., ABCA 2025 is this: college coaches want accountability. They want athletes that are ready to compete. Doesn't mean that the college coaches don't want to develop. It means they want athletes that have intestinal fortitude, that have a little of this in here, a lot of this here, and skill. Strength, skill, size, speed, scholar, your grades, school. You got to start taking care of them, and we got to start to have these discussions. Doesn't mean we're always going to be one big happy entity. We're going to become a baseball community, a baseball family. Go back to American Legion. Go back to Little League. Ask what you can do to help them to get more people sign up. Have your coaches go through the elementary schools and act and go to your community. Go to your pizza shops and go to your automotive, your oil change places, your tire stores, your convenience stores. Ask for donations. Make it affordable for everybody to participate at the Little League levels. Bring back community baseball. The game will get better for it. Look around the world. Look around the globe. There's a reason why Australia, Netherlands, India, they're all at the ground roots level of baseball instruction. They're bringing coaches from all over the United States to go over there to teach the sport. We should be doing the same thing all throughout North America, US, Canada. We should be taking the sport back at the younger levels to help athletes love the sport, like the sport, play the sport, and have a childhood. If you, as a parent, before you leave, find your way to the YouTube, I'm asking every parent that's watching right now, just hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. You're not paying for anything. You're not going to get asked to pay for anything. Engage with this gosh darn video. Send a comment, hit the thumbs up, because I need to get the community to grow. And the only way to do that is to send the message through YouTube, is that people find this type of stuff either A, informative, B, engaging, and think that other people may benefit from it. If you don't, and you want to give me a thumbs down, go for it. You're engaging. So it's only going to do is help. Next week, I am going to start talking. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Travis Jewett at USC. Going to have college coaches are more diverse. I'm going to be talking Division II with Chris Shank and Rick Odette, NCAA Division II. I'm going to be in Ireland. I'm going to be talking with NCAA Division III coaches throughout the country. I'm going to be talking to JUCO coaches. Really want to open up. And also this spring and summer, going to be going to high school games, going to be going to Legion games, going to be going to some travel events, going to college games. And we're going to talk to coaches. We're going to talk to parents. We're going to talk to athletes. We're going to get them to understand what it's like. We might even be with college coaches at American Legion games or college games or summer college games or summer travel ball games. But for the love of baseball, could you just do me one big favor to kick off 2025? Spread the word. Subscribe. 70% of people that find their way to the videos do not subscribe. I find that mind-boggling. If you hit the thumbs up, you leave a comment, Walter, you look heavy. Walter, you look too light, pale. Walter, you're way off base. Really don't care. But just for the love of baseball, engage. If you like tonight's content, please, if you're on Twitter, make a comment. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, make a comment. I want to make sure I get to everybody's questions. So let me check with Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter. Okay. All right. So I want to answer this. Wrapping up. What do I gain from this? I gain, my wife asked me this question a lot, and I want to make sure that people understand. If you love travel ball, that's great. If you love high school and Legion ball, that's fantastic. If you love college baseball, professional baseball, that's fantastic. I just want more people to be aware the game has been around for a century and a half. And there have been players of all levels, all skills from all over the country, all over the world. To date, there have only been in 150 years 25,000 major league players. Now, I want people to really think about that. That means I could take every living and former major league player, take them to Fenway Park, my favorite stadium, and there would still be 10,000 to 12,000 empty seats. Give that some thought. Next, Little League, Babe Ruth, American Legion, travel baseball. For the vast majority of young athletes, that's the final time they'll ever play baseball. But they got a taste. They know what it's like to stand in a batter's box and face a pitcher, to be a little afraid, I don't want to get hit. They know what that feels like. They know what it feels like to have a fly ball hit in their direction and they're trying to run, block out the sun, catch the ball so they don't let people down. They know what it feels like to be a pitcher on the mound with the bases loaded in a 3-2 count, and I have to throw a strike. It's a part of growing up. It's a part of the process of going from a child to the weight of expectation of being an adult. But we don't take any of that into consideration. As a child, we shouldn't be thinking about what it's going to be like to be recruited. As a middle schooler, I shouldn't really be worried about, am I going to get recruited? As a freshman and a sophomore, I shouldn't really worry about being recruited. I should be worried about, do I love the game? Am I working hard at being better? Am I the best that I'm capable of being? And then if all the answers to those questions are yes, then I can start to say, okay, now I really want to try to play beyond high school. But, I have a love, I have a skill, and, I really want to do this. Okay, there are people out here that will help you get to those destinations. I promise you, if you focus as a child and a young student athlete on all of your preparations necessary to get to college. So I've talked long enough. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch. It really, this is going to be a fun year. Don't be disappointed. Do not be disappointed. Karen, Troy, thank you. You know that I love my sweater and I also love my hat. And I also have a Lawrence Academy right behind me over here. That's the Lawrence Academy 2011. But folks, I'm going to do these live Q&As on Tuesday evenings. I'm going to be bringing them to television, YouTube, Roku. I want discussion. You don't agree with me? Engage. We'll talk. We'll discuss. You have an issue or a topic you want to be brought to light, we're going to get behind you. If it's for the benefit of the sport of baseball, if it is for the benefit for young athletes, we want to be behind it, promote it, and get things done. We want to create a community. And when I say we, it is the Baseball Blue Book, Coach Beede, Pro Line Balls out of Greater Houston. We want to get behind you. And that's what we want to become, a resource for you, for your information. And we have big announcements coming, some really great metrics and analytics that parents are going to have the opportunity to really do very diligent research on all colleges, all levels, all divisions. We're creating that as a resource. We want you to be better informed. We want you to be avoid fear, make solid decisions for your student athlete. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great week. I'm looking forward to college baseball. We're going to be out and about at all levels of college baseball, JUCO, NAIA, NCAA, high school, travel, all during the summer leagues. We're going to be on the Cape Cod League. We're going to be in the New England Collegiate League. We're going to try to get to as many games and talk to coaches and players and provide as much positive information and resource to promote the sport of baseball. Thank you all and have a very, very good night.